And now, please welcome General Manager, Multi-Vendor Services and Offerings, IBM Technology Support Services, Sergio Saad.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. I know you all have to fight a little bit of rain to get here, so it's a bit of challenge, so really thank you for being here. We're going to talk today a little more about the innovation in technical support, where technical support is going. From the traditional remote technical support, field services and parts, we're going to get into what we're doing today in the fields of analytics, innovation, automation, simplification for technical support and the new technologies that are coming in the future. So you can see some of the challenges that we have been talking to our customers, and they have been telling us that they do expect technical support to help them solve the problems they see today, which is too much fragmented support. Everything is moving into digital and cloud, some cost pressures, people are spending most of their time and budget maintaining things like they are instead of investing in the transformation and investing in the new. Some skill gaps, how to maintain those things, being a bit reactive, and we're not really realizing gains from all this unstructured data that we are getting. So we're doing a lot of new analysis and information on all these pain points, and we're talking to the customers and starting to implement a lot of new solutions that help us address those pain points. So you're going to see today a bit of the direction that we're going with technical support. We're going to talk to you about what we're implementing today. We already started on this journey. We're implementing a lot of nice things already today, and then we're going to talk about where we expect this field to evolve in the future. So without further ado, I will call to the stage the global leader for innovation from technical support services in IBM, Kevin Wallmeyer. Kevin, please.
Hello, everyone. As Sergio said, we really appreciate you guys coming out in the rain. Hopefully, this will be a very good session for you. What I'd like to take you through is a journey that we have, and that is a journey at looking at the client challenges that Sergio mentioned. In particular, for me, my two favorite ones are in service and support, we're too reactive. And also, we have a lot of unrealized insights from unstructured data. As far as I could tell, probably 80 to 90% of the data we collect during the client experience with service and support is unstructured. So there's a lot of unrealized opportunity there. So I'd like to take you through our journey of how we're leveraging innovation in the future to address all these pain points, and also some of the technologies that we currently have today. So we did kind of establish this initiative called Partnering with Clients to Simplify Technology Support, as Sergio mentioned. So one of the things that we're focused on when we help clients and help ourselves internally help clients is scalability. So we support over 30,000 multi-vendor products, so non-IBM products, not actual serial number products, but different types of products. So that's a lot of training that we need to provide and a lot of opportunity for us to optimize and automate the processes. We have 19,000 support specialists globally, so that's a lot of activity to coordinate. 1.3 million parts globally at one point in time. And every year, we at least get 50 million questions globally. So there's a lot of opportunity for us to collaborate with clients on optimizing these processes. So one of the things we established very early on are guiding principles. So our guiding principles are really focused on our client needs, addressing pain points that you saw on the previous slide. And one way to do that is to help lower the cost of support and help clients just have a better experience altogether. So the first way to do that, of course, would be to work with the manufacturers to avoid the problem from happening to begin with. So look at all the service and support data, look for patterns, and then apply those patterns to new product design or fixes for existing products. Then self-serve. In the event that clients do have a question and the client is willing to self-serve, we have a lot of initiatives that we currently have in place today, and a lot of initiatives that we're thinking about implementing that I'll take you through based on client feedback that would help the client find an answer to their question that they have. In the event that there is a service event beyond problem avoidance or self-serve, how do we automate the entire process? And that's something I'll walk you through today. We have some really good automation in place today, and we have a lot of additional opportunities. And of course, if we're unable to automate the entire process and just a portion of it, then how do we become more efficient when it's human-to-human interaction? And that's a big initiative for us as well. Underneath it all, you can see in the bottom of the slide, is continuous improvement, my favorite. So how do we learn from all of those interactions, from problem avoidance to more efficient, and apply that to how we automate more effectively, how we do things more cognitively, leveraging augmented reality and all the things that I'll take you through in a few minutes. So one of the things I wanted to share with you as we put together this innovation initiative to address client pain points and really think about now and think about the future is we have a big advantage in IBM, at least from my perspective. We have this research organization that has over 3,000 members. So one of the first things we did is establish a relationship with research. And we have dedicated research people focused on service and support. In fact, we have named that and we call it the science of support services. So we have people that in research find doing the science of support services very attractive to them, and we have really good retention there when we're building up our base, and they know the business as well as we do, so that's a big advantage for us. So the next couple of slides, I just wanted to walk you through thinking about innovation. What are the ways that we could learn what innovation is the best to address the client pain points and address some of our internal efficiencies that help the client? And the best way from my perspective is look at the industries, that's the next slide, and look at the future of support from an artificial intelligence perspective. So where are we from an AI perspective? Where is AI going in the future? Understanding that and applying the best of all of these areas into support. So for example, applying artificial intelligence everywhere. I'll take you through what we're doing today, what we're going to do in the future, but that's a big initiative for us. Deeper insights, understanding the data, understanding the client much more deeply than we do today. Engaging the client in different ways. Can we have chatbots or robots greet the client with cameras so we can understand the intent, their expressions, and real-time react to those expressions like humans do? Personalization at scale, that makes sense to everyone. Understand the client's environment, understand their history, understand the product history, and apply that to the active engagement, which is very important. So if you think of a cognitive chatbot, if you don't have context, you will not be as effective as if you have context. A good example I like to use, if Johnny fell off the wagon, that could mean a kid in the playground, or it could mean someone at a bar having a few beers. So it really depends on the context, on how effective your chatbot can be. And of course, instrumented plan it. We get involved in a lot of client engagements where usually the first thing they say they need help with is they have a lot of data, they don't think they're utilizing it effectively. How could we provide insights proactively to them? The other thing I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation is, can we learn from other industries? So we looked at government, finance, agriculture, energy, healthcare, education, science, and business solutions, and look for patterns on what they're doing, and then can we apply those patterns to us? One of the things that may not be a surprise to anyone is security came up quite a bit, so we're really focused on security, obviously, security of data, clients' data, et cetera. Planning, behavior tracking, risk modeling, asset management, all of those things are relevant for service and support. If you look at agriculture, crop field analysis, we do a lot of analysis leveraging the same techniques that the agricultural community does. In the science industry, again, predictive modeling, we do have some really good predictive modeling capabilities. In the energy space, demand prediction. So you can see some patterns there. And then finally, you can see in the far right screen, we have interactive chatbots, predictive and insights for business solutions. And of course, we've applied all of those to our technology set and have some good things planned in the future. So having said all of that, set the stage. So we have a plan. We invest heavily in this plan. We're really focused on innovation. We have a good story to tell with research. What are some of the things we need to focus on from a core IA perspective? And I think it comes down to three. There's signal comprehension. So how do we recognize as a system that something is happening that's important for us to react on? So if you see this, can we have a system that would recognize there's a green bowl, there's a green bird sitting in a bowl, and what is the importance of that? So you could look at a data center and automatically determine if there's a cabling issue. You could listen to the acoustics and vibration of that data center and then feed that information back proactively and take some kind of action before something happens. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Of course, learning and reasoning. How do we learn and reason at scale based on all the data we have? And then interaction that I mentioned before and we'll touch on in a few minutes. understanding language and tone, emotion and context is very important to us, so we're putting a lot of effort into understanding all of those in the chatbot space. So based on everything that we looked at from an industry perspective, all the different technologies, we do have some emerging technologies that are in production today, but we have a lot of plans in the future for them as well. So Watson, we do have a lot of capabilities from a chatbot perspective. There's a slide later on where I will show you that we have a chatbot that we scaled up very quickly for customers to use. So within a couple of hours, the customer can have their own custom chatbot, where before it would take months to do. Blockchain, we have a blockchain solution that automatically does the billing and invoicing and provides supporting data to support the bill. Talk about that in a few minutes. I have several slides on augmented reality, but augmented reality to me is one of the future items that we need to continue to focus on, because that'll lead to mixed reality, virtual reality, and a bunch of other realities that we haven't thought of yet. And then Client Insights Portal, we're collaborating with a company called Entercoms. Rahul, the co-founder, will be out later on the panel to talk about that more. But this is a way for us to take some of these cognitive capabilities and display the output of our insights in an easy-to-use, easy-to-understand portal. And I do have a slide on that in a few minutes. And of course, analytics and automation. We have a lot of analytics and automation based on the processes that we have in place today that I'll share with you in a few minutes. So let's touch on some of our existing technologies and the future of those technologies. The next one is augmented reality that I just mentioned. So we have three big phases for augmented reality today. One is we're in production where we have an IBM representative communicating with another IBM representative on streamlining some process that maybe it's a new product and they're not familiar with it. So imagine if you're on site, you pick up your smartphone, open up the AR app, point it at the device that you want help with, and within 2 seconds we dynamically build a 3D model so we don't have to do separate video or training of the system. And within that 2 seconds, the model is then transmitted back and forth between the two agents, and we can real-time guide them with whatever process we want to guide them through. The second step is client self-assist, doing the same with clients, which we're in the process of doing. And the third step is really ties into the theme of this presentation, is the future of augmented support, and that is recording the human-to-human interaction and automatically creating content from that. So in the future, it could just be human to machine rather than human to human. And on this next slide, we kind of demonstrate how that works. So we're recording the repair session, which is step one. Then step two, we're creating a 3D representation, storing that object, and then we're overlaying that with the human-to-human interaction and automating that content in the future. So that's something that we're currently working on. So we're very excited about that. Also, from an augmented reality perspective, things we're collaborating on with research in the future is adding acoustics. Makes a lot of sense. Adding vibration analysis, thermal dynamics as well. From an acoustics perspective, this really resonates with me. You can listen to a washing machine and tell there's something wrong. If I really knew a lot about washing machines, I could probably tell you exactly what it is. So certainly do that with my car. I can tell if it's a belt that's loose or something to that effect. Vibration analysis just makes a lot of sense. And thermal makes a significant amount of sense to me, especially in data centers or with any machine that generates heat. If we could proactively and dynamically monitor those three aspects in addition to augmented reality, that will really set us apart from a service and support perspective. The Client Insight Portal, I touched on that as well. So the most important thing to me is not just collecting the data and understanding the insights from the unstructured data, which is probably 90% of our data, but it's also how do we translate that data into meaningful notifications and alerts, and more importantly, how do we communicate that effectively to clients so they're not overwhelmed with feedback and ignore it, and we don't underwhelm them by not sharing with them relevant information. So we came up with a strategy working with Entercoms called the Client Insight Portal. And this is where we would put our predictive alerts, automation activity, key metrics activity would be on this portal as well. Another key thing that clients typically need help with is inventory management, just understanding where all their inventory is, when does it come off a maintenance agreement, what about microcode updates, security updates, and we help clients track that through the Client Insight Portal too, through this geospatial representation of where all of the systems are located. And then blockchain. I touched on blockchain for a few minutes. We have a lot of automation around blockchain. So for me, blockchain is the essence of automation. It's taking a process that was done manually or in some semi-secure manner and making sure that it's in one place, it's a trusted source, it's transparent so everyone can see the data going back and forth between two companies, which is very essential when you're doing billing. And we also supply real-time data to support why the bill went forward. We also call that supporting evidence. The one I touched on earlier about chatbots and automation and the cognitive future is something we call the virtual assistant for technical support. The virtual assistant for technical support is not just creating a chatbot for a client, it's allowing the client or enabling the client to be able to customize that chatbot without really knowing anything about Watson. So if you can use a mouse, if you can use a website, if you can drag and drop, and if you know a little bit about your business, you can help configure the chatbot real time as you move forward and your business evolves, which is something I think really powerful and our clients really are starting to utilize. So kind of in summary, wrapping this all up, simplified technical support services. We put together an end-to-end process. This is the simplified view of the simplified process, where if you think about all the entry points, all the ways that clients can engage us through the web, through real-time monitoring. Can we get real-time monitoring? Can we leverage the sensor data to do predictive? Or can your system generate a log file and we can automate some process associated with it? So for example, today, 70% of the time that we get a log file from an IBM product, we can automate the process and bypass support altogether. So we really have some good technologies to help there. You will notice that picking up the phone, the telephonic aspect, is not part of this because we have a big initiative to help move everyone more to digital. If we can move more to digital, less phone calls, of course, we have a tremendous opportunity to automate the process or be more predictive or proactive, as you can see here. We also want, in the future, level 1 support to be Watson. That's right, it's our cognitive engine. So if a problem does happen, so we couldn't prevent it to begin with, and we didn't automate the entire process, instead of human-to-human interaction, it would be machine-to-human interaction, walking the client through the procedures on resolving the issue, or recommending what action to take, including some of the technologies that we mentioned. So one of the things we're doing is combining these technologies. So that's another future of support. So not just having a chatbot as an application, not just having augmented reality as an application, but combining those applications in my example. So you're interacting with the chatbot over the phone or whatever your method is, and it may recommend augmented reality, for example, and open up the session for you and connect you to another human to do it, or it could do it if we have the self-assist content set up as well. So the whole process could be streamlined by automation using chatbot technology and augmented reality. We also have some other things that we're focused on. The best way of delivering parts. We're looking at self-driving vehicles, autonomous vehicles, looking at, for shorter distances in cities, can we use drones? So we're looking at all of those technologies as well. And that is my summary of how we're partnering with clients to simplify support. And I'll ask Sergio to join me back on stage. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. It's an exciting future for our technology support services. I do get excited when we think about the technology and what we can do with this. Now I would like to get a couple of guest speakers to the stage, and we're going to have a few discussions on where we see this going, what are the key points. So let me start by introducing Vice President and General Manager, Data Center Services from Lenovo, Laura Latrello. Please come to stage, Laura. Thank you. And also let me call to the stage Rahul Singh, President and co-founder at Entercoms. Rahul. Let's take our seats. Let me start with you, Laura. Let me ask you a question. We talk a lot about the pain points and what our clients are telling us that they need for technical support. You have a huge operation. What are you experiencing from hearing from your customers on those pain points, and what are the technologies you think are critical for us to invest on to help solve those pain points?
Sure. My first customer pain point is they actually don't want to talk to me. So it's not personal, I hope, but they don't want to call. They want us to be able to prevent problems. And so we're focusing our systems on making sure the systems are developed and our support processes are developed so that we prevent problems first. When they do call us, there are a few things they want. The first, they want the absolute best trained technicians to answer the phone if they need to call first. And we have an offering where you can get direct access to a level 2 technician called Premier Support, where it gives them that benefit. Secondly, they want to be able to support themselves. And technology like AI technology like Watson, which can help pinpoint the problem and narrow it down to exactly what's happening in their environment and get them help online quickly, would be an absolute win. And the third is when our customers do have issues and they have open tickets, they want to be able to see across their enterprise what's happening. What's the status of the ticket? Where do we have parts being delivered? When will a CE get there? And technology like Entercoms, where you can get a good dashboard of what's happening in that customer's environment and get to the point where it's predictive, is a fantastic offering.
Thank you, Laura. So I feel a lot of predictive and Watson analytics, and in this term, there is a lot that we can do. Rahul, let me get to you. Entercoms has been working with IBM for a couple of years now, and we are starting to implement some of these new technologies. So can you tell the team about what Entercoms is, what you're doing, and how we're working together with IBM to address some of those pain points and what you have implementing, and also how do you see this evolving in the future?
Sure, yeah. So Entercoms has been working with IBM for the better part of 2 years, 3 years or so, and some very exciting initiatives, ranging from what we're doing with Kevin on the client-side portal and the supply chain areas. It's really, you talked about predictive, Laura. It's so much about moving customers from being reactive to becoming proactive and predictive, right? And just to tell you a little bit more about who we are, Entercoms, we've been around for about 10 years, based in Dallas, Texas. We are a service optimization company. What does that mean? It means we are about connecting data, right? Connecting all kinds of data sources, and building a predictive, actionable view of your supply chain, and using that to drive outcomes. That's really what we are. And we drive not just insights, but automation in the process. So when we started working with IBM on this, it was a great match because they were trying to do the same thing, which is, hey, how do we get better insights to end customers, like Lenovo, for example? And one of the first questions we asked really was, hey, where do we start? And one of the best areas to start was, hey, let's look at asset inventory. Do you have the best asset inventory? And reality is that a lot of people don't have the best asset inventory. And we said, can we create an actionable, accurate picture of asset inventory, which is not just static but dynamic? Because you have the as sold information, but you go to as maintained, and you start to even connect to the firmware microcode level details as they evolve. You can build a complete picture of interoperability, the risks, and then you start to connect that with contract information, field information, parts information. So now you have a great end-to-end picture of your service supply chain. And technologies such as Watson are amazing and powerful. So the other thing we're working on is how do we leverage that to bring insights and automation to end customers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really great, Roland. And one of the things I like about the approach we're collaborating on is our ability to display the data to the clients in a meaningful manner. So one of the things, Laura, that I wanted to ask you was self-assist is one of the things that you mentioned several times. And you heard the technologies that we're currently focused on, and I think you have an initiative called the Effortless Client Experience. So of all the technologies that you saw, I know you mentioned predictive, but what do you think about augmented reality and blockchain and some of the other initiatives we have to help you?
Sure. So let me start by helping give the audience a definition on effortless customer experience, and then we'll tie all of those things in. Effortless customer experience, if you look at the way most corporations design processes, whether it's a support process or a go-to-market process or development process, they design a process to help themselves. You think about, all right, what do I need from the customer in order to fulfill the process? An effortless customer experience re-engineers that and thinks about what does the customer need from us to be able to support them. And we eliminate everything else. So instead of thinking about do we need to get the system entitled? Well, the customer doesn't actually need that step. They don't want that step. They need to get information from us. So how do you go about re-engineering that process? So the first thing that we're doing is we're looking at every single process we have and thinking about it from a customer's point of view and re-engineering it to meet their needs and eliminating all of the other steps along the way. The technologies that we will implement behind that are almost secondary. So they're certainly important, but it starts with getting it right and thinking about what does the customer need. And I can certainly see things like blockchain where you've got a secure, trusted ledger and you have access to the right information at the right time, being a really good implementer and help in that process. But the process redesign is the most important.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. So, Rahul, you and I have had many conversations on how you're leveraging IBM technology to drive automation, and you have some really creative things that you're doing with Watson. Could you expand on those, please?
Sure. So, by the way, I love the whole concept of effortless.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's a great idea. I mean, you want to simplify the world, right, for the customer, and that's so important. I think Watson plays a big role in that. And but however, I think we are the tip of the iceberg in how we are exploiting technology like Watson. So I'll tell you what we are thinking about, right? So Watson, it's not just Watson with IBM, we are also leveraging the cloud and the security framework that we're using with IBM on that. We really look at Watson in perhaps 3 different ways. So one is creating insights and automating things. That's one level. The second is personalization. And the third, I would say, is understanding your vocabulary, right? So you go from, one, I can connect data in different ways. I can have Watson answering questions for you. But what's really important is that it should be in your context. For example, I asked the question, suppose you ask the question, hey, how many of my assets are at risk? Well, Watson needs to understand what at risk means. Everybody has a different value, meaning of risk. Maybe you are in APAC and you have a different context around it. Back to what you talked about context, Kevin. So it's about, using the domain expertise we have in this area just to train Watson, because AI is all about also how you train it. It's the technology plus training and what goes with it. So we are trying to train Watson at different levels to say, and our version, what we're using with Watson is we're training it for different levels of personas. For example, managers, what do the managers want to know, what operational people want to know, and so on and so forth. So that's a personalization aspect of it. And then we are looking at vocabulary. How many of your companies have 3-letter acronyms everywhere, right? So everybody has a different language. They all don't use the same generic language, right? And things have to make sense to you. So you ask a question, you want to get an answer in your language, right? So that's the other part of using Watson and these technologies to make it, talk to you.
Right. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rahul. I think it's quite interesting, and I think you all know now that this is a journey, right? As you mentioned, how we are the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot of very nice technologies coming, and we are starting to implement those. So I hope that we got you some interested to start on this journey and work with us to see how we move this forward and transform technical support. So let me ask a round of applause for Laura and Rahul again. Thank you. And I think that concludes today. Thank you very much.
And just thank you guys for coming. I know the rain is harsh out there, but I really appreciate you spending the time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.